Good morning, students. In last chapter, we have studied about the extent of Ashoka's empire. Today, we will start the Mauryan administration. At the time of Ashoka, it was called as Pan-Indian character. The Mauryan Empire, beginning with Chandragupta Maurya, was vast with an all-India character. The whole India was under control of Mauryan Empire. Seleucus, he was defeated by Chandragupta in a war, and Seleucus handed Chandragupta four provinces of Kabul, Kandahar, Herat, and Balochistan. These remained with the Mauryan Empire right up to the end of Ashoka's rule. It was lasted up to the Ashoka's empire. During Bindusar's rule, Ashoka reached Takshila and quelled the revolt there. Whenever Bindusar was ruling at that time, Ashoka reached Takshila, he stopped the revolt or he controlled the revolt and started to conquer or rule on Takshila. After Bindusar had established his rule over South India, no other king ever ruled over the whole of India. Before Bindusar, there was no one, or after Bindusar, because previously Chandragupta was ruling all over the India. After Bindusar, that was not happened in by the Mauryan Empire. The fact that Chandragupta Maurya spent his last years at Shravanbelgola in Karnataka. Mauryans also followed the four ashramas. First one is Brahmacharya ashram, second one is Grihasthashram, third Vanaprasthashram, and last one is Sannyasashram. So after completing Grihasthashram, in the Vanaprasthashram, Bindusar left his empire and went at Shravanbelgola in Karnataka. He spends his life there. The chief advantages of the pan-Indian character of Bindusar's empire were as follows. It marked the end of small states, means there were no small states in the Mauryan Empire. It helped in establishing trade links with foreign countries. The rulers started to do trade with each other. It made India strong and helped the Mauryan kings face foreign aggressions successfully. Means just because of the unity, the India became strong, and that was helpful for the emperors to control the foreign attacks. After Ashoka's victory over Kalinga, the era of conquest and wars was over. Kalinga battle was the last battle of Mauryan Empire at the time of Ashoka. It helped the Mauryan kings to pay more attention to social and economic life of the people. Just because of the victory on Kalinga, the Mauryan kings stopped wars with other countries or kingdoms. Hence, there was an all-round economic prosperity. It was Chandragupta Maurya, under the guidance of Chanakya, who laid the foundations of an elaborate system of administration. Chanakya wrote a book, Arthashastra, in which he describes the principle of politics. Under the guidance of Chanakya, successfully Chandragupta ruled on his empire. He easily defeated his enemies. He captured vast area. He attached that area and his kingdom and made his empire a vast empire. His empire was spread all over India, not only in India but Pakistan, Afghanistan, and in Nepal also. That all things he did under the guidance of Chanakya. Chanakya wrote a book, Arthashastra, in which he describes the principles of politics and the art of administration. Whatever he taught to Chandragupta, he wrote in his book Arthashastra also. Chandragupta's son Bindusar retained the same system of Ashoka, and Ashoka made some minor changes. Even Bindusar also followed the same policy of his father. Only when Ashoka became emperor, at that time he did minor changes in the system of politics or the governance or the administration. He did changes after when his heart shaken by the war of Kalinga. Mauryan administration had two main divisions, civil administration and military administration. In the civil administration, there are two main divisions. First is central, another one is provincial government. Central means about the whole kingdom, and provincial means related to state. In that provincial government, the central is divided in various provinces. Nowadays, that provinces are called as states. In the central government, the Mauryan government was centralized and was managed by several officers of different ranks. The king was the supreme authority and his throne was hereditary. In the central government, like prime minister, the king was at his high post or at the high post. In the central government, there was the king itself. King himself taking all the decisions about the central government. He was the supreme authority. He was also the supreme judge. Whatever decisions were taken by the king, that was the final decisions. Megasthenes, the Greek ambassador at the court of Chandragupta Maurya, in his book Indica and Chanakya in the Arthashastra, tell us about the Mauryan administration. If we want to get more ideas and information about the Mauryan administration, then that we will get by the reading of Arthashastra and Indica, which is written by Megasthenes. He was the Greek ambassador in the court of Chandragupta. He was sent by Seleucus. Ashoka brought about some changes in the administrative system of Chandragupta Maurya. He appointed Mahamatras. Mahamatras are called as governors. He appointed them to look after the welfare of his subjects. At the central level, the king was assisted by the council of ministers. At the central level, there was the council of ministers who were following the orders of the king. That council of ministers are called as Mantri Parishad. Mantri Parishad is was headed by the Prime Minister. Each minister was responsible for his department. The Council of Ministers included the chief pujari of the state. He was called as the Purohit, the Senapati, who advised the king on matters related to war and peace. That department was controlled by the Senapati. The head treasurer, called as Sannidhata, and the taxation expert was called as Samaharta. One in charge was appointed for the agriculture. There was superintendent of mines were also appointed, superintendent of ports, control of commerce, as well as the superintendent of weights and measures. That all mantris were appointed by the king. Now we have to see the provincial government. Ashoka made alterations only in the central government and not in the provincial government. Only he did changes in the central government but not in the provincial government. During his grandfather's time, there were 4 provinces, and after the addition of Kalinga in Ashoka's time, there were 5 provinces as shown below. First one is Magad. Its capital was Patliputra. Second province was Gandhar. That was situated in northwestern province, or it was called as northwestern province. Its capital was Takshila. Third province is Avanti. It was called as eastern province also. Its capital was Ujjain. Then fourth province was southern province. Its capital was Swarnagiri. Fifth province was Kalinga. It was added after the battle of Kalinga. Its capital was Toshali. Head of the province was called Kumar or Aryaputra. Only the princes, means the son of kings, were allowed or appointed to this position. During Ashoka's time, the Kumar was assisted by the governor. At the time of Ashoka, the Kumars had assistants. They were called as governors or Mahamatras. According to some rock and pillar edicts of Ashoka, besides the Mahamatras, other officers were also took part in the administration of the provinces. That officers are called as Pradeshika. Pradeshika's work was to collect the taxes. Rajuka was performing the functions of modern day Tahsildar or revenue officer. Yukta was the treasurer. They were assisting to the governor, and governor was assisting to the Kumars. Then third administration we have to see, that is the district administration. In that district administration we have to see the provinces were divided into districts that were called as Janapads. Their administration was looked after by Pradeshika, Rajuka and Yukta. That all 3 officers were looking towards the district administration. Then fourth administration is administration of cities. Important cities, the capitals of provinces as given earlier, had their own administrative system. The head of the city was called Nagaradhyaksha. According to Megasthenes, the administration of Patliputra, the capital city of the Mauryan Empire, was looked after by a committee of 30 members. Under Nagaradhyaksha, there were 30 members. They were assisting to the Nagaradhyaksha to look after the work of the city. Then fifth one is the revenue system. The land revenue was the chief source of income. Whatever tax they were getting from lands, that was the main income source of the Mauryan. It was 1/6 to 1/4 of the produce. Whatever production that people were getting, 1/6 or 1/4 they have to pay as per the tax. Two kinds of taxes were there, namely Bali and Bhag, that are mentioned in the edicts of Ashoka. Bhag was levied on agricultural produce and the cattle at the rate of 1/6. According to Vincent Smith and Shama Shastri, Bali was a religious tribute. That was a religious purpose or religious activity. Toll tax was imposed on articles which were brought for sale. Whatever articles or whatever things they were bringing for sale, at that time they have to pay toll tax. Taxes were levied on liquor shops and gambling houses. At that time also there was taxes on liquor shops and gambling houses. Some taxes were collected from forests and mines. Some of the taxes were collected from mines and forests also. From the revenue collected, the state provided various facilities like roads, irrigation, hospitals, and made other expenses of the state. Means whatever work was done, whatever activities was there, from that they were getting taxes to run the kingdom or country's administration. Sixthly, the spy system was handled by Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya had a wide network and of spies in his empire. Spies means Gupta hair. There were spies against the spies. Chandragupta Maurya had a wide network of spies in his empire. There were spies against spies, and on important matters, more than one agent was asked to collect information. Means every spy also had spies. Means what? Whatever information is given by a spy, that should be correct. So that was a wide network of Chandragupta to see or observe the condition of his kingdom. The king was always kept informed of networking of the bureaucracy. Means that was important for him to get idea about his empire. That's why he was keeping the spy. Then seventhly, military administration. Chandragupta Maurya maintained a huge army consisting of infantry, cavalry, and elephants and chariots. All types of military or army was there with Chandragupta Maurya. According to Megasthenes, the Mauryan army consisted of 6 lakh infantry, 30,000 cavalry, and 9,000 war elephants was there with Chandragupta Maurya's army. According to another source, the Mauryas maintained 8,000 chariots or rath. The chief weapons used were bows, arrows, shields, and swords. The king was the commander-in-chief of the army. Nowadays, commander-in-chief is the president of our country. The whole army was under a military commission of 30 members. There was 30 members in the military commission. They were looking towards the work of all the army. The Mauryas also had a well-laid recruitment policy. Means recruitment means they were appointing the soldiers. The soldiers were paid salary in cash. The Mauryan king had built forts at strategic places for safety and security of the empire. He built forts for the safety and security of the empire. Then last topic we have to see, that is the Ashoka's Dhamma. After the Kalinga war, Ashoka became the people's king. Afterwards what happened? Ashoka just loved or cared his people like his children. He embraced Buddhism but did not impose it on his subjects. Means he followed Buddhism but he did he did not make it compulsory for his people. That was their wish to follow it or not. But he wanted his subjects to follow such a Dhamma that may be based on unifying principles of all major religions of the world. But that was his thinking or his opinion to bring all his subjects under one unifying principles by which all the religions can come under one shelter. The Dhamma, as described in Ashoka's edicts, is not a religion or religious system but a moral law, a common code of conduct or an ethical order, which is a common meeting ground for of all religions. Means that was the belief, that was the thinking of Ashoka. Dhamma is not a religion or a religious system, but it is a moral law. It is a common code of conduct by which the people will feel they are equal. They will treat each other in equal way. They will realize that they are the brothers and sisters. Means what? In short, he wanted to bring universal brotherhood in his empire. Now we have to see principles of Dhamma. Ashoka's Dhamma has the following silent points. First principle is respect to elders and love to children. Ahimsa or non-violence he followed himself and suggested to all his subjects also. Good deeds or good karma would give happiness to man in the next birth. Means if we will follow the way of good deeds or good karma, then definitely we will happy in this birth also, in next birth also. Means that was his belief. He taught people to respect all religions. He disapproved empty rituals. Means he never wanted to burden his people for the empty rituals. Then, what was the impact on Ashoka's imperial policy of Dhamma? That we have to see. Firstly, all the religions unified and they started to follow the emperor's policy of religious tolerance. Then, people under the influence of Dhamma and started living a moral life which was taught by Ashoka's Dhamma. Then everywhere the people started to follow the Ahimsa and the end of crimes just happened there. Thefts, crimes and other such activities almost came to an end. Almost that activities just stopped in or ended in Ashoka's empire. And at last what was the last impact? That was the public welfare. He started to work for the welfare of his people. With the policy of conquest and wars having come to an end, everywhere he stopped to do battles and wars. And that's why Ashoka's Dhamma helped officials to undertake public welfare and public work schemes. This resulted in prosperity and helped people to lead a peaceful life. In short, what everywhere we can just see, people just started to live life in a peaceful way. They stopped hinsa and started ahimsa, by which everyone easily started to live in a peaceful life and way. Here we have completed our Mauryan Empire's lesson. In next period we will start our next lesson, that is the election.